Hello and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to the Angles Way, where I'm on day 7 of this trail, which I think is going to be about 23 kilometres. Now, I've just left the town of Diss and I'm actually straight into the marshes of the Waveney Valley. I think the river sits just over there somewhere. I'm actually just into Norfolk at the moment, so the Suffolk border is the river, so I think what the trees I can see on the far side probably are in Suffolk. And today is going to end at Knettishall Heath. Now, just the one thing to note, there is no accommodation and there's no public transport at Knettishall Heath, so it's either going to be a wild camp or you're going to have to get a taxi into Thetford so you can actually stay overnight somewhere. And I'm actually just coming up to a medieval moat, which was the site of Bush Hall. And there were excavations in the past which showed medieval pottery, but also they were re-identified to be some elements of Roman pottery as well. So there is a big Roman settlement about 5 miles or so behind me, and the likelihood is that a Roman road going through here in some direction. So this section is going to take me through several nature reserves, including the large reserve of Redgrave and Lopham, which is owned and managed by Suffolk Wildlife Trust. And there's also quite a lot of history, including a Norman tower and multiple medieval churches as well. So we have now arrived here at the Grade 1 listed church of St Mary the Virgin, just north of Wortham. And the main body of the church, the chancel and the nave, they date to about the 14th century. But what's really unique about this building is the tower just over here, this enormous round tower, which is dated to the 12th or possibly late 11th century. And what's even more special about this 3-stage tower is it has a diameter of 29 feet and a height of 62 feet, making this the largest Norman round tower in the entire country. And some of the lower courses of stonework appear to have a herringbone style construction, which is a very early style of stonework. So we have entered Redgrave and Lopham Fen, which is an enormous nature reserve that is owned and managed by Suffolk Wildlife Trust. It actually covers about 432 acres, and it is the largest valley fen in the entire country, and it's home to some very rare species, including the raft spider. I know they exist just on the far side of the fen. And I've joined the River Waveney again. It's actually just next to me here amongst all the reeds. It's pretty much just a ditch at this point, and I think about 2 more kilometres further up we'll actually go close to the source of the River Waveney. So we're about 13 kilometres in today, and we've just entered Redgrave Fen. And it's another valley fen, but this one is actually in the Little Ouse Valley, because just back over there, maybe half a mile, there is the source of the River Waveney on one side of the road, and then literally on the other side of the road is the source of the Little Ouse. And that bridge is actually quite important, because that's the only actual land connecting Suffolk with Norfolk. All other places you have to cross over a bridge, and that is the only place that connects the two counties. Now I'm actually going to be sticking to the Little Ouse Valley all the way into Thetford. So we have just left Thelneatham Fen, and just across the field over here there is a tower mill, and that's Thelneatham Mill, and it's a Grade 2 star listed building that dates back to 1819. In fact, there is a record that says that work began on Christmas Day 1819. So we have arrived here at the village of Hopton, and this is the Grade 1 listed church of All Saints that dates back to the late 13th century. And in the village there is a shop where you can get some refreshments. This is one of the first shops I think I've encountered for quite some time, and there is also a village pub as well. So we are just entering the tiny hamlet of Gastorp now, and it really only consists of a couple of houses and farms, but if you look across the field over there, That is the ruins of St Nicholas Church, which was the parish church for the village, and it dates back to the medieval period. And they're protected as Grade 2 listed building, but it was in 1719 that the tower itself actually collapsed, and of course the building is now out of use. So we've just arrived here at Riddlesworth, and this is the Grade 2 star listed church of St Peter, and it's got a really interesting arch just into the tower, and sadly it's locked so we can't have a little look inside. But next door there is an amazing building with some very interesting history. So this here is Riddlesworth Hall, and it was actually recently used as a boarding school but closed in April 2023. But it was finished about 1793 and it's a Grade 2 listed building, but having a hall of such grandeur in close proximity to the church implies that there was probably an older medieval hall on the site that would have been demolished and then rebuilt into this grand house. Now, another interesting fact about this building is that this is where Princess Diana went to school when she was a child. So I'm edging ever closer to Knettishall Heath, and it's only a few hundred metres further up, and I can tell that the landscape around me is beginning to change. These lush green fields will soon die out into a more acidic soil, and these lush green trees will turn into Scots pine, where I've entered the Breckland landscape. And that will be my final day in towards Thetford, but for now I'm heading towards the nature reserve. I think today has been a real highlight. I was not expecting to see the hall where Princess Diana went to school. I was not expecting to see that, and the churches and the ruins that I've seen today have been really, really interesting. If you've enjoyed this part of the walk, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and also ring the bell to keep up to date with future uploads, and I'll see you in the final part.